Welcome back to another segment of the MCR. My name is TJ. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if I sound winded, that's because I just came in from shoveling 4 inches of snow outside. So forgive me. In this segment, I want to talk about a guy who I would suspect is affiliated with the Democrat Party. The reason being is his name is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the son of Robert F. Kennedy and the nephew of President John F. Kennedy. And if you recall, both were, I'll say sadly, assassinated back in the 60s, I want to say. Okay? In any event, I'm not so sure Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is your typical Democrat. If nothing else, you could probably view him as what we've come to call old school Democrat. In any event, this past weekend, he said a few things in Washington, D.C., which are worth mentioning. He spoke at a rally, which I dare not in depth try to explain, for fear of not explaining it correctly given the standards of this particular platform we're on. If I were, we would risk getting this video pulled, we would be flagged, we would be crucified, we would be all of the above. So all I'm going to say is he spoke at a rally over this past weekend. And he mentioned 3 points which I want to touch on. During the course of his speech, and forgive me as I get this here ready, as he spoke, he used the term turnkey totalitarianism. And I guess given his description and usage, it was used to describe technological power to control every aspect of behavior, of conduct, of thought, and to obliterate dissent. And that is what he was saying to describe our current government actions. These 3 points that he brought up, they read, Number 1, every power the government takes, they will never relinquish voluntarily. They will never let it go until we make them let it go. Number 2, every power they take, they will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. So number 2 kind of goes hand in hand with number 1. You know, they whatever they do, they're not going to give it back, relinquish it voluntarily, and whatever it is whatever power they assume, they're going to use to the maximum extent. Number 3, and this is the one that really caught my eye, actually. Number 3, nobody in history has ever complied their way out of totalitarian control. Every capitulation is a signal to the oppressors to impose new forms of torment or torture or compliance or obedience. And those were the 3 points he touched on. Honestly, I'm genuinely surprised an individual of such Democrat Party pedigree would be saying these types of things, because this is not your typical Republican. And I got to tell you, or I should say this is not your typical Democrat, sorry. And I got to tell you, this Democrat sounds more Republican than a whole lot of Republicans out there. And I would say these 3 points, while he was discussing a certain issue that I dare not discuss in this segment on this platform, but these 3 points could apply to a wide array of issues. If you're kind of curious, because I'm being cagey here, if you're kind of curious what he said, what he was talking about, and what it is I dare not in any kind of depth attempt to discuss or define, go to The Right Scoop or the Gateway Pundit, because they both cover him, and they discuss in pretty good detail the nature of his speech, which I dare not discuss in this segment on this platform. Now, I'm not going to say 100% we need to be on board with this guy, because given, like I said, his Democrat Party affiliation pedigree, I don't know where he stands on the Second Amendment. I don't know where he stands on taxes. I don't know where he stands on abortion. But these 3 points that he brought up could apply to these political issues also, especially the Second Amendment. One of the things is, when it comes to the Second Amendment, you don't dare compromise, because every inch you give, they keep in perpetuity, as I like to say. So especially on the Second Amendment, you could take these three points and apply them to it. So that's kind of all I got on this topic in this segment. And I'd like to apologize to our regular subscribers and viewers that we haven't done any group segments as of lately. I've been working a lot of hours at my job because I'm still employed, and it is just my time constraints are such that it just hasn't allowed me to link up with Mac and the others and do some group segments, because especially on a topic like this, Mac shoots from the hip like I could only wish I could, So in that regard, I almost feel like I'm shortchanging you guys. So sorry, and it's going to be a week or two before I get around to having time to do group segments with Mac and the crew. So I'm just apologizing in that regard. In any event, that's all I got for this one. I'm telling you, this Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I don't know how affiliated or how closely linked he is to the Democrat Party, but what he's saying is not in lockstep with the Democrat Party platform as we know it today. So I was just compelled to mention that. I had to do some research, because when I saw his name, I thought, is he the son of? And I did some research, and yeah, sure enough, he is. So yeah, he's part of that Kennedy family. Teddy Kennedy, that horrible senator out of Massachusetts. So who's now gone. But in any event, I was just compelled to mention him and some of what he spoke about. And I say some. Too bad I couldn't discuss in depth what he really spoke on. And that's it. I'll cease my rambling, and I'll catch you in the next segment. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.